back to another episode of the Mental Breakdown podcast called Healing Hearts Losing to Gain. We are so grateful to kick off this new semester and new year with a new episode. We are extremely excited about our discussions this episode, and we hope they can shed light on important issues and struggles that teenagers our age or older face. My name is Sam.
My name is Laura.
And as per usual, we are your hosts for today's episode.
We're incredibly blessed to have a really close friend and senior, Tanwar Lordgosen, with us today in our episode. This episode has been a really long time coming. You may know him from his athletic achievements or his bright energy. We couldn't be more excited to have you here today. Do you mind telling the audience a little bit about yourself?
Hi. So I'm Tan, and I do cross country and track, and I'm a senior, pretty much set for college right now. Like I got my earlies back, and probably gonna commit soon. But that's really
Yeah.
just a little bit about me. And thank you for having me, guys.
First of all, congratulations. Claps in the chat.
Congrats. Wow.
How has this
So
senior
beautiful.
how has the senior year been so far for you? Just generally.
Oh well, it was really like jam packed. I think like in the fall, like I think I did not have a good time right after like October ish, like between October until winter break. That was just like I could not handle it. But like now we're here, we're at spring semester, all of my college stuff is done, and it's
Woo.
really just chilling now, making sure I'm just passing everything, and yeah,
Yeah.
gonna be a fun end to the year.
Yeah, there has been a lot of really good senior events like the senior trip. How was that experience?
Oh, it was really fun because there's like they had a lot to do. They had like paintball, laser tag, and it was just nice in general to just hang out with
hmm
everyone, and like even some of the teachers there. It was nice talking to them and getting to know them more.
Oh.
And just getting out there. It was nice to do things and like just feel free from like I guess just like the constraints of home in the city.
Yeah. Yeah. Amen.
Aww.
Amen. But we are so excited to just jump right in. Before we go into the first question, I want to say that healing is a journey, and we have talked about the nonlinear progression of healing in our past episodes. However, learning how to let go is a big part of that journey. Letting go is a statement that sometimes many people don't want to hear. Whether it's friendships, expectations, standards, or even versions of ourselves, moving on can feel like losing a part of who we are. The fear of change, the weight of regret, and the pull of nostalgia can make it hard to move forward. In this episode specifically, while there is so much that we can talk about in relation to losing, there is so much to gain as well. With nostalgia, there is so much to recall, and I want to start off by asking, what is your favorite childhood memory and what does it make you feel?
So one of my favorite childhood memories, I was thinking about like, I'm pretty sure it was second grade or third grade. I have like bad like perception of time. I think that's what it's called. But it was like after school, and it was me and like some of my childhood friends. My mom and my sister came to pick us up from school, but then we just stuck around because these new shoes from Skechers called Heelys came out, where they were like just like shoes with wheels on the heels, and it was just we were just playing around. I was learning to play it because I was not good at it, while everyone else was like breezing through it. It was
I
very easy for
remember
them.
them.
Aww.
I remember those
Yeah.
shoes. They were a hit. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
except it's not good when you keep falling over and just like yeah, just like
Tell me about
bruising my legs.
Achilles.
the beginning of the roller skating. No, I cannot do anything like that.
Oh yeah, it was a fun experience. Painful but fun.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just thinking about it, like I was like it just made me remember like how simple it used to be
hmm
way back then, and just like I just kind of miss it, like
Yeah.
and it,
Me too. To completely be honest, I don't think I had a lot of childhood memories, but I know there's a lot that I can talk about. But I think I really loved the simple memories. I think one of the things that I did specifically remember was just like my elementary school routine. And that was like, my grandma would pick me up with like a Ziploc bag of like grapes, and she would just sing to me on the way home and to school. And she would also
Aww.
want me to like sing with her. and low key I was really embarrassed. And so she was like, do this, do this for me. Like you're singing, like just it's just me, like sing to me. So I think those routines with my grandma are something that I took for granted, and that's because it's everyday life. And I think that you do that for the simple times, and that was my normal. But soon my normal became taking myself to school, taking the train alone, and um, attempting to move on after everything has just moved on. But I feel very grateful that I made those memories, and those memories make me feel very safe and protected, even though she is gone. But it gets to a point where those memories don't hurt to remember. I think a lot last year they hurt to remember, but I think now that I'm talking about it, it makes me feel better. But they make you feel better, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that about your grandma though,
Yeah.
but
It's okay.
like,
It's okay. Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
Oh.
Yeah, I was just talking. I was just talking to Rachel about this earlier, but I remember this one time where it was like me, my siblings, and my dad, and we were just in the living room, and then all of a sudden he just asked if we wanted to go to the movie theater, and I remember just like jumping up and screaming yes, and I
Amen.
like I think like it was such a small thing, but I was just so used to having to plan every single thing that happened in my life. Because my dad would always say, "You have to plan everything. You have to plan everything." Um, but it just made me really happy because I love being spontaneous. But that's not always what's that? That's not always an available option. So it's really nice to remember a time where I just felt free.
Spontaneous
Yeah.
is like such a I feel like I
I
need
love
to
it.
be spontaneous more because I think one time last year, not last year, last year, beginning of sophomore year, I actually had like this really big AP Chem assignment to do, and
Of
like
course.
the day before the day before school, actually, no, 2 days before school, my friend had like two free tickets to go to the US Open, and I was just like, I have to finish my AP Chem homework. I'm not doing this. And then
Not nerd.
my sister, my sister was like, "What are you doing? Literally, go. Be spontaneous. Do something with your life." No, I'm kidding. She didn't say that, but
Get a job.
she didn't say that. But it was very nice to just put down and just go outside, feel the breeze of the air. I'm kidding. But
Mm.
my parents initially were just like, why are you going to the US Open at this time? It's you just told us." But it was like I was like I justified myself and I felt good about being spontaneous and being in the moment. I think that defines our childhood. And I want to ask you guys, do you find yourself dwelling on past memories a lot?
Mm.
You know?
Oh, me. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I think like I've dwelled a lot, but like not as often as I have like more recently. I think just because it's been like senior year and it's like things are like coming to an end. Like I think that's what's really making me look back. Is it's like just like, are you crying?
No.
No, Laura.
Okay.
Oh, Laura.
but 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 yeah, it's like just thinking about it. Like it's essentially like even like as I'm because like I'm gonna turn 18 in like June, so it's
Oh
that's essentially just
goodness.
like
Oh my god.
no, but like that's essentially like the end of my childhood, and then like
Stop, don't say
also the
that.
end.
It's over for you.
No, 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 don't say that.
It's
Wait,
so
okay,
No,
and
no,
then
no.
like the let me talk, and then like the end of high school too. Like it just I'm just looking back a lot more nowadays, like with those things in mind, just like at how things were before, and like how much I've come from like where I was before, and just like how nice things were back then, but also how nice things were now, and like yeah,
Yeah.
I've just been it's been a lot of nostalgia.
I think the point of like the age part is something that like really throws me off sometimes because I think like 17 and 18, I think the number itself just throws me off. But
I'm
Mm.
17.
yes, 17 Jan-
Yes.
January birthday, guys.
Oh yeah.
Update
Guys, I
Laura
have to
turn
wait a whole year.
update Laura turned 17. Update Laura turned 17
Oh yeah.
January 28th. Happy birthday, Laura. um
Thanks, man.
It's
um
February 5th actually.
yeah. Yeah.
Can we kick him out?
No, 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 no. No, this episode will come out on Valentine's Day. So everyone listening at home, this is on February 5th. But
Cuddled up with your baby.
yeah, on the dwelling memories part, I think I did do a lot of dumb things as a child. I was a gremlin. I wasn't really pleasant. Laura, no, I wasn't
I
really,
do.
I wasn't really pleasant to be around. But that's like the funny side to myself that I think I'm happy with sharing because I think that even though I was a little bit of a um I was a child that had a lot of temper tantrums, but I think that reflecting on my little self, he as he got older, he got very shy, and once you got to know him, he was very loud. So I think now that I'm older, I realize I have an extremely I'm extremely different from a lot of my childhood friends in terms of beliefs, and I reflect on a lot of the joyous times that we all had together. But coming to this high school specifically made me come into myself in a lot of ways, and also fully realize that there are things to me that just make sense and they probably wouldn't to the people like in my from my childhood. But I know that's a vague answer, but I felt super guilty about like my growth and assuming growth means anything, but like even if it's a small amount, I think um I've always wondered like what was done differently or what could have been different. I think and those are just questions that you get from moments that you can't change because they're in your past, but you think about them too much, I would say.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love to think and daydream and
Real.
Wait, Laura,
um
you think?
sometimes. Um but I mean, I think it might seem kind of useless to some people. Just like, like enjoy the moment. But to me, it really just makes me feel kind of connected to my younger self. Um, I mean, no one would be where they are right now if it wasn't for their past experiences. So I think looking back and reflecting on them is really important.
Hmm.
And that doesn't lead us, but our next question is, what role does nostalgia play in making it harder to move on?
Um, well, thinking about it, like when I was thinking about nostalgia, I just kind of thought of it like an anchor. Like that's the best way I could put it.
Mm.
Like when you look back, like it feels good to like look back at old memories and you miss those times. Unless they were bad times, you wouldn't miss those. But like good memories, like playing with my Heelys or you going home with your grandma Sam,
Hmm.
like like when you look back at those, you just think like you really miss them, and like there's always like it's like it's dragging you. Like there's always like this desire to want to go back to those times when things were simpler, really, because that's how
Hmm.
like a lot of people put it. Um, that's how a lot of people put it when they talk about nostalgia. It's like you wish life was still that simple, and it's like it drags you, and sometimes it could just cause fear on like what's to come, fear of change,
Hmm.
and just like I think like
Um,
nostalgia, like if you take it too much, like it'll like really just mess with how it'll just like make you afraid of like leaving things behind and like these big shifts that are to come, and like yeah.
Yeah. Do you I think I think what you said about like nostalgia like kind of has a way of like we always really go to the past, and I always find it really hard to I obviously really want to go to the past in so many ways and observe from like a third person perspective and just be like, this was really nice to
oh
see.
my god.
I don't know if I would necessarily like be that like literally be a younger kid again, because I feel like sometimes I just don't want to relive things, but I also feel like I miss it a lot that I also just want to relive it. Um,
Yeah.
and so it's complicated because I also don't know if I would want to be in my older self and have to skip so many moments rather than just be present. And I think um, it can make us long for moments that feel simpler or happier. And sometimes I think I've personally held on to like old versions of myself because they felt familiar and safe, even though like change I know is inevitable, and clinging too tightly on the past can stop me from growing. And I think I've had to like really let go of that because I realize that I know I'm not going to be the same person in the future as I am now. um and I know the feeling that nostalgia gives me, and I never knew how to accept it as a part of my past without constantly grieving a different version of myself. On the other hand, when I write in my journal or notes app, it sometimes brings me back to a lot of places where I was just like, wow, I was really going through something. But but I think I've made it a goal to look at the warmness of nostalgia and cherish the moments. Um, I found myself grieving like the memory also of like the person, like my grandma for example. And I think those are two completely different grieving parts. And I think when you like outgrow something like a relationship, you grieve the memory also. And memories often fade as we get older. So I think we make it our dying wish to remember all the good and all the embarrassing. And sometimes we unfortunately dwell on those instead of being present. And
That's so beautiful.
thank
I
you.
was
Yeah.
actually like in regard to the like feelings of familiarity thing. I was actually gonna say that exact thing.
Period.
I think I think when feeling nostalgic, we really hold on to those feelings. And because we're just so comfortable in that little bubble of what we're used to, change isn't really an option that's kind of actively seeked out. Yeah, so there's a sense of security when dealing with something we've already done since we know the outcome already. And that makes moving on not like impossible, but pretty close. I mean, unless we take the first steps to fix that.
Yeah, low key, that is very real because
Low key, not
no,
high key at
high
all.
key, no,
Low
eighth
key.
grade. I remember having it was like I had bright red hair. I talk about this all the time.
Oh, I
I
know.
had bright
Wait,
red
really?
I had bright red hair. I initially had dark red hair, but I don't know, it turned into bright red hair somehow.
Oh, he changed it.
Oh,
Ah,
and it at some point in the fall of my eighth grade year, so it was my senior year of middle school, and it was like we had like to write this. I was in US history, so we were writing this like civic literacy essay, and I left it for the last minute, as always. Well, not now. I've changed. Get it? But I think no, but I had
Don't put that out there.
stayed up that entire night just writing that essay, and I kind of had like a bit of a mental breakdown, because I was just like mental breakdown. But
Pun, yeah,
yeah,
that's a good
but
one.
that's the name of the podcast.
yeah,
Yes,
and it was
good
just
observation, Tan.
good observation. No, but it was just really hard for me to even think that I would ever get past that because after pulling that all nighter, I just had a really bad string of just like days where I was just like, my brain is not functioning well. I think everything is just going badly. And then eventually I did get past that. And now that I look back, I'm just like, that was eighth grade. Why am I stressing over eighth grade? And I'm in 11th grade, and I feel like I do have a better handle on those things. But it's just, it's funny to think about everything that happens in your life at that moment feels like the end of the world. And it does, because all you know is emotion. But
Mm.
it's all you know is emotion. But it's hard.
Mm. That's
Mm,
growth.
Yeah, and I want to transition that into our next question, and that we talked just now about how nostalgia behind about the nostalgia behind childhood memories, and transitioning into college, seniors face a challenge of change and new beginnings. What are ways that you handled this, Tan? And do you think that you can ever prepare yourself, or we can prepare ourselves for it?
okay, so realistically, I don't have a way of handling it. Like, I kind of just like, okay, this thought of like this being our last year, we're going off to college next year. Like, it's there, but like what I've been doing is I just push it aside, live every day to its fullest, just enjoy the time, because like, yeah, like that lingering thought's still there. Like, it's like the end's coming up and stuff, but it's like if you think about it too much and if you try to like, I feel like this is one of those situations where it's like if you tackle it like head on, like it'll just like it'll hurt you more than it'll help you. But I guess also like in terms of preparing for it, like it's not the same for everyone. Like the way that people perceive college transitions or just like the end of their high school career, like it's different for everyone. Like what could work for me or like how I feel about it might not be the way that like you guys feel about it next year or some of my friends do right now.
Hmm.
Like I might like really miss like I'm probably gonna really miss high school, whereas like some of my friends maybe they just can't wait to just get out of here and just
No.
you have one more year, Laura. Like
Yeah, we both.
Ah!
No, we got this,
I'm
guys.
so scary.
We
I'm
thought that
still
is
a freshman.
scary.
What do you mean? Like the other day, I was literally thinking about college, and I mean, especially splitting up from some of my favorite people. um, but I literally started crying like in the middle of my kitchen. Like
Aw.
I was just freaking sobbing. And like having to practically restart in a completely new environment just seems so scary. But I mean, at the same time, that's just what I thought about high school, and I've really had an amazing time.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, I'm sure I'll be saying the same thing in regard to college in like 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just,
no,
it's
literally.
life.
It's freshman year, literally, I did not know a single person. Everyone in my middle school, when I told them I got into this school, they were like, "What is that?" I'm just like, "Yeah, we'll figure it out." When I said the name, the acronym, HSMSC, they were like, "Can you say all of it?" And I'm just like, "I really can't. It's a really
And
long name."
you sound like such a nerd when you say
It's
that.
quite a mouthful.
No, it is a mouthful. And so whenever I say
Oh,
HSMSC, it's always just like, can you
that's
say
okay.
that? What is that? Where is that? What is that? How
Who?
is that? Who? What? Where? When?
Who?
Why?
Where?
Why? Why would you? I'm kidding, but I think that it is gonna be like a new environment. But I think I don't know. I think I've kept in touch with a lot of my really close middle school friends, and it still surprises me that like one of my friends from middle school, um, we were just like talking about like going to high school and how scary that is, and then literally over the summer we collaborated on the Teens Together bake sale, and
Mm,
in a way that like it kind of our separate projects joined together because we decided to like meet up, and then that turned into a collaboration between all of our schools, and in a way that was like it was a lot bigger than I imagined versus like me going to a school where I still knew everyone and it was really big, and I still feel that like this school, I feel a lot closer to everyone because it is a closer small knit community.
mm,
And I think at the end of the day, even though it's, I'm speaking to my younger self in a way it's like everything will be okay because they don't know what's going on. They're living in the moment. They're scared about the future. And I'm just like, everything will work out. And I hope that my future self will look at me and be like, you'll be okay. Everything will be just fine.
mm.
Um, so
It
yeah,
will.
yeah,
It will.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, on to our next question. Can you recall a time when you had to let go of something, whether it be a childhood object, etc., or someone, and how did it impact you?
So I was trying to think of responses for all of these questions, and then I realized like right before we started recording, I was like, I completely forgot to answer this
It's
question.
okay.
So I just like the first thing that I thought about was just like when I was a kid, like I had like these. So like from the game Angry Birds, I had like this bluebird stuffed animal, and so what happened was I think I accidentally left it like on my bed, and it kind of like fell like in like this crevice between my bed and the wall,
Hmm.
and it got a little dirty, and I like my parents had to throw it out, but I was
Oh
just like,
wow.
no, like my bluebird, no.
That's the that
Like
shit that just forces you into a new era. Just like a parent
yeah.
throwing out um a very valued stuffed toy is just it turns you into a different human being.
It starts my villain
Your
arc.
villain arc. No, yeah. I think I remember a similar experience with a lot of my childhood stuffed animals, but yeah, I would say I would have to I had to let go. I loved toy trains and buses as a kid. Um um but when I was small, and I specifically remember this specific moment. I was that kind of child that would I would steal my grandma's combs, and she would literally chase me around the house when I was like very small, and there are like videos on like my sister's laptop of those videos of me just like stealing her comb with like a bucket on my head and like a cloth on my head. Um, and then even as I got older, my grandma would say, "Did you take my comb?" And sometimes she would even buy me combs when I got older. And I started doing my hair by myself. And since she had dementia during her later years, she had periods where she would misplace her comb, just like she would replace her everyday things and sometimes say like, this Samuel, he stole all my combs. And it was just really funny to my family because now that she's like passed and we've given away all her things, that object, it had a lot of sentimental value. And like whenever I think of a comb, I just think of her because that was just her signature object. And yeah, that's how it impacted me. But yeah,
Um, I mean, I've had to let go of a lot. Not like, mm, oh my god, I just thought about this. I'm gonna say two things actually. I had this little like baby, not like a baby,
like
but
a
like
stuffed
it was a toy. It wasn't a stuffed animal. It was like a toy, it was like a baby.
American Girl
Um,
doll.
no, 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 it was a
Oh, I
baby.
hated those.
It was a
me,
baby.
me too. Oh, the
It
faces
was a
scared me.
baby. Um, and I would literally play with it like every day. Like I couldn't get wait to get home. I couldn't wait to get home from school. Um, and one time my brother like literally cut its head off and like threw it in the garbage truck, and I was actually like devastated. So that's like that was so mean of him, and I actually still hate him for that because
Oh
what?
wow.
But I mean, moving
I don't
on.
know. No, 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 no.
Moving on.
The second thing. What's the
moving,
second thing?
moving on. Um, I yeah, as you can tell, I've had to let go of a lot. I mean, especially friends. But I mean, like in the fourth grade, I had this one friend. But I like started slowly distancing myself from her because I would always feel like super left out in their group. Um, and like I don't know, immediately I just felt like a weight lifted off my shoulders. Like,
She's
um,
watching right now.
no,
I'm
she's
kidding.
not. Not okay. Like we still talked, but I think it was a good first step to like kind of recognize my own self worth. And I mean, it's a hard choice, but I I mean, throughout life you learn it's okay if it doesn't work out. Like some things just don't happen
Yeah.
because they're not meant to.
Yeah. Yep. 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 I think definitely the the I'm gonna talk about elementary school friends, but I was talking to Tam before we were
Yeah.
rolling, but sometimes it's so awkward when I see people and like I'm very whoa I'm very I would consider myself to be like introverted at first, but then you get to know me, and I'm very extroverted once you get to know me. But then when I see people that like I once knew and I recognize them, like let's say like I'm taking the train and I'm on the E train and ooh, people are gonna E train, yeah. And I'm like on the E train and I see someone from my elementary school that I recognize and I've seen them. And then I walk past them and then I don't know if they recognize me or they just don't. And I would say it's just so awkward. And I just feel so guilty just walking by without like saying hi or something like that. But it sometimes when I recognize them and I just see them and walk past, it makes me it puts me into perspective like, oh, like yeah, this is like a different time. This is like
Mm.
this was once where I knew them as people, as like someone that I considered a friend. And then now it's just like, we're going on different directions, even though we all live in the same neighborhood. And now we're just doing
And we're right
different
next to each
things.
other.
Um, but yeah, yeah.
So would you guys say that's the hardest thing in your life that you've had to let go of? Or I mean, if not, what is, or at least what do you think it'll be?
So as terrifying as the bluebird thing sounded, it was actually not the worst thing that I've had to let go of. And it's actually kind of similar to the second thing you brought up. I was actually talking to Sam about it, and then I was like, you know what? I'm not going to spoil it
Let's
until
leave
the
it
podcast.
Yay!
for the
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah, so I was just I had a really rough time in middle school, like especially once the pandemic came around cuz what it was is just that like I had
Me too. Us too.
okay.
Us
Okay.
too.
Me too.
Oh, yeah. But it was basically like I had a lot of friends coming into the pandemic, but then like while we were all remote, like I just saw this whole other side to them, um, and it was like I was mistreated or just like gas or like I guess like mistreated, gaslit, or like just like put in like lots of uncomfortable situations and stuff, and it was just like I I had to like I knew I had to let them go, but it was like the way that I thought about it was just like they're my friends, and it's like
Mm,
I didn't want to
Mm,
let go because it was like I've known them, even though it was only for like a year and a half at this
yeah,
point. It's like
it's so sad.
yeah, no. I think that like things like that, it's you put things like that. I feel like anyone just puts like the most amount of guilt on themselves because it's just like what could have happened differently? Could they've been different people? Could they have simply just said something nicer? Am I overreacting? Like, it's like you tell yourself those things and yeah, I'm so sorry. Honestly, I can't compare the things that I've had to let go of like in my life. I think they all affect us in different ways and require like grieving. I think memories have that power. They do affect our day-to-day basis, but I think that as time heals, we can coexist with the fact that something is not present in our life anymore. And for me, the instance of the comb and my grandma was something so simple, but it had such a lasting impact. And I think that such simple moments that you cherish with your loved ones are always still as important, and you can still it still has such a lasting impact. So I would say don't spend your time planning on those big moments to like make memories. Like I would say make those memories in the subtleties, like on the bus rides, in the little inside jokes. I think that those moments are just like they're very funny and I
yeah,
love every single day. And even though it's a very stressful junior year, I think they've been the more formative. I'm laughing more. And yeah, one time I think I was hanging out with my friends, and we were going to go to the library to study, Leanne and Michaela. Um, and we were going to the library to study
Friends. Okay.
to study for physics. And then one of my teachers said, like, like Sam, you look happier. I'm just like,
You don't look like that ever. What's wrong with you? What happened?
I look very stressed, but I felt like, oh, like this inner work, this self work that's happening, it's like it's present. It's like I look like okay, I guess. I look fine. I look I'm just glad
Normal.
I'm glad that like my friends are here to keep me grounded. And
yeah,
yeah, but yeah. And
That's beautiful.
yeah.
uh
It's always the little things that like really just like you can't always. I guess yeah, like what you said, it's not always the big things, but like even like little things throughout the day just like really help out like making the day better. It's like
mhm, yeah. So I would say if we want to transition and into our next question, how do we embrace change? Because change is always something that's very scary. So how do we embrace it rather than fear it? You know?
yeah, so what I've done is just like I'll take this change or this fear, and I'll just like I guess I'll just compare it, kind of like what you do in school. Sorry, I sound like such a nerd,
No,
but
it's fine.
you just compare all the pros and all the cons of
Oh
like
wow.
this.
Oh,
So
Okay, nerd.
no, it's fine.
Laura!
I gave a warning, but like,
Sorry, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Laura. But yeah, I just look at like the pros and cons, and like most of the time, like the good really does end up outweighing the bad.
Amen.
Uh, like not just for change, but for fear in general. Like, I guess. Ooh, here's a good example. Like I've always been scared of public speaking or like being on a stage
Mm,
and stuff. And
MC.
okay,
Me too.
okay, yeah. It was very different than how I've put myself out there this year as like MC of
Really?
like
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, it was basically like I kind of just did what I was just saying. Like I just looked at it. I thought about like the pros and the cons. I was like, I'll never get to do it again. It'll be a fun experience.
Right.
I'll get to
Exactly.
like I get to like have fun, make memories. I get to like tackle my fear of public speaking, and like I get to like I guess just like be there with everyone. Like it was, they were fun events, and we were there with the whole school. It was nice, just like,
I
um,
was there.
I get. Oh, you were there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thanks.
yeah. It was. like I guess it was just like talking to everyone in a way, and it was just nice. Like I just like hanging out with people, or like seeing people, being with people. So
Yeah.
I think like emceeing that recital, for example, was probably one of like the highlight, like one of my best highlights ever. So
Yeah.
Ever? Oh my god.
yeah,
So
like
cute. I think I think in order to embrace change, you kind of just have to do it. It like reminds me of a phrase that's like you can't wait for motivation to come to you. You have to find it or like actively choose
Discipline.
it or whatever they say. Um I mean, small steps are important, but you can't fight change. It'll always happen whether you want it to or not.
Yeah. I want to say like definitely what Tan when you talked about like the emceeing experience. I think this year I've definitely been making some things where I was just like, you know what, let's just add something to the list. You know, let's do a debate tournament. Let's join dance. Like let's join dance.
Oh yeah. Oh
Um
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I've been it's just at some point in this week I realized like wow, maybe this is a lot. But I think I'm really proud of the fact that I'm spreading myself thin and actually having a life, which is an understatement. But I freshman year, my routine was school, home. It was school, home, and I would not really show up to friend gatherings sometimes, and I would
Oh, we know.
oh I would be like, sorry guys,
I didn't know that.
sorry guys, I'm busy, or and
We didn't.
I was I felt really busy, and but now I felt like now I can be content with myself with spending time and allowing myself to have fun. And I think it's natural to fear the unknown and to worry about losing connections. I think once we move on, especially from like junior year, from senior year to college, and if you're afraid of change, reminding yourself that relationships evolve rather than simply disappear, I think is really important. And those people in your life right now are like a phone number away. And I think I'm gonna make it like a goal of mine to just reach out and keep in touch. And the people who are meant to stay in your life will grow with you, even if your paths, have to diverge for a while. And for those who don't, it's okay to cherish the time that you had without forcing something that no longer fits or serves. And I think Laura touched upon that earlier. In terms of not
Hmm.
fearing it, the fear sometimes doesn't go away. I don't think it ever goes away. Sometimes it goes and it comes back. And I think with cycles like that we have, like from like junior year, no, from middle school actually to like high school to college, I think there's always going to be waves, and you can't spend the rest of your life anticipating the future when you're dwelling in the present. And it's important to be present, and I'm saying this all over and over again, but and acknowledge that your life is exactly where it needs to be, and your life
Hmm.
is purposeful, and the people in your life are purposeful, even if like later in life it doesn't really work out. They're still in your life. They've taught you things. They've helped you come into yourself in ways. They've encouraged you ways, taught you things that you should pull back from maybe. So I think people who feel like they need to be in control of everything self abandon in a lot of ways, and they close themselves to a lot of great opportunities. And I felt like this year I've taken advantage of a lot of great opportunities because I just did it, and change was scary, but I kind of had to close my eyes and click the button, but it still happened anyway. But that it could be exciting, and letting go isn't about racing the past, it's about embracing the present and making space for what's next you know
Yeah,
Mm.
I think also with like change and like accepting change is just like if you're doing something you have to just like I guess just like make a bold move and like know that you're doing it and be proud that you're doing it, like,
yeah.
or like be proud of the
Mm.
change, know what the change is, know what you're getting into, because if you like you can't just dive into something new without knowing like any of the basics, or just like what to
Hmm.
do, who to call, who to get help from, because it's like you'll always, like what you said, you'll always have like these people, these resources that you've these skills you've learned. You'll have everything at your disposal, but like if you want everything to be used as efficiently as possible, you kind of just gotta you gotta know what you're
Yeah.
doing, you gotta know how to use everything, you gotta be you gotta be confident.
Yeah.
That's how you really can get through change.
I've
Just
the embracing the struggle part, I think, is like the hardest thing, because I think, especially like if things like become like, even dance. I think dance, joining that recently, like very recently, um
Like 2
like
days
2 days ago. I'm kidding. No, but
yeah.
yeah, like I felt like I had experience, yes, but I felt that like I was enjoying just having fun and seeing people that I wasn't seeing every day, and learning everything, even though like I'm also doing a lot of things outside of school nowadays. And sometimes when I think of it and I have my to-do list to do, I think of just like, oh, I have so much to look forward to, even though it's very busy. But I'm proud that like can have this amount to do and not like be really stressed out. I have a good handle on it, and I think I've grown in terms of like having a good handle on things. And I think that freshman year me would have been very proud, especially as a junior, when little Sam was thinking about, not little Sam, but like
Widow Sam.
little Sam was thinking about where would he go, or where would he go for like high school and college and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
Mm.
dwelling is a form of overthinking, guys. It's, you need to sometimes get out of your own head.
What a beautiful observation.
Yeah,
Wow.
it is overthinking.
So what are some ways you guys practice self-love during difficult moments?
Okay. I'm gonna be really honest. I was never really the best with self love. Like I guess like coming from middle school to just like I guess the environment that I was in, I was more focused on pleasing people rather than taking care of myself, which really did come to kick me in the butt like throughout freshman and sophomore year. Like sophomore year was probably my toughest mentally. But then like
Re-
I like
Me too.
yeah
real.
yeah,
It's
but then
horrible.
like I got like I just like I used the stuff around me. Like I went to like the wellness center. I got like a therapy thing at the Foundling, and
Yeah.
it's like I did learn like a couple ways to self love, just like positive affirmations and just like mindfulness, like taking a step back, and also just like accepting who you are and like what you have, where you are, everything, and just being proud of that. Like those are really the ways that I practice self love. And again, like there's like obviously like tons more different ways, like even like doing the things that you love, or like trying new things that you might enjoy. Because it's like I've tried a lot of new things this year that I've turned out to enjoy a lot. And sometimes if I'm like having a hard time, I do those things to like calm myself or just like make sure tell myself that things are okay. It's
And they
like yeah.
will be, and they are. Well, they don't have to be, but yeah, they will be. And what I do, I sometimes just sit and think. So yeah, that's really interesting. I'm kidding, but I sometimes set my work aside, and
Big brain.
um, yeah, sometimes my dad always tells me this, but when I'm when I do take a break and like go on my phone, he always says, "Take a real break," and I always been like, well, I am taking a break. I'm not doing work. But then I realized like sometimes I would like set off my phone, set like a timer for 10 minutes. Ooh, my mic. And I would just sit on my couch and just lay there. And sometimes I would find myself falling asleep. So that's why I set like an alarm on my phone. But I was just like that. It felt like it felt like a reset and like a recharge for me. And sometimes self-love can seem like a daunting task, especially when you might be spiraling, like emotionally exhausted or just physically tired. So I think self-love is like, you can break it down, take small breaks. Other times it's being disciplined enough to take care of yourself even when you don't feel like it, like getting enough sleep, which I have been doing. Eating like meals, sometimes you don't have time to just sit down and have a meal. Sometimes it's really on the go. And also, like, self care can look like setting boundaries so that you don't burn out. And a big part of self love is also learning to forgive yourself. And it's easy
Mm.
to get stuck in a cycle of self criticism and like replaying past things that you've done, or like embarrassing things. I told you guys I was a gremlin in my childhood. So, um,
We could tell.
no, no, no.
You don't have to
Um,
be.
We've all been
I
there.
think
We've all been
I.
there.
Well, I was
No,
perfect.
even you, Laura. Even you.
I've always been perfect. I don't know what you're talking about.
um,
Hello,
I'm kidding. No, but I remind it like that's the thing is it's humanness. It's like we're humans.
humanity.
Humanity. It's humanity. I
Awareness.
like you have to remind yourself that some days are harder, but self-love is about showing up for yourself even the days that it's the hardest to do. And
Oh,
when you can feel
Mhm.
like your biggest ally, like your biggest cheerleader, then it's all then you can communicate with yourself and be in tune with yourself when you don't feel like it and recognize the signs of when you need to step back, set boundaries, and then come back to it. And then know that you can do it. Like if you have an assignment, it's if you need a break, take that break. It's like you need to listen to your body. And yeah, what about
oh.
you, Laura?
Oh, thank you for asking. Um, kind of like what Michelle said earlier. Um, I love to do my makeup, or honestly, just like the whole activity of getting ready.
Skincare.
It's. I'll get to that.
No, no,
Let me get to that. um, it's so therapeutic to me, and I always feel better about myself by the end.
wait, that's real.
And literally, and on a similar but somewhat opposite side, what Sam said, I love a really good like wind down at the end of the day. So like skincare, clean room, and my favorite show on just always makes me feel better. But I usually don't get that because I have so much work and I
Yeah,
die on my bed.
yeah. And the
Boo.
stress and like on top of that, when you
Boo,
don't have
stress.
time for skincare, and on top of that, you get stress, acne. It's the
Oh,
worst.
yeah, I
And
slept
I,
in my makeup yesterday.
oh no,
I was so tired.
it's
Haha.
I'm kidding, but I think yeah, some things like that get like sometimes skincare for me is just like it's like subconscious. Like I'm just like doing something. It's just it's very therapeutic. I agree. So yeah, I think I want to ask this question, and it's gonna be sometimes very hard to say. But if you had to talk to your younger self, what would you tell them?
Hmm.
Um.
Think about it, guys.
Um, I would say everything happens for a reason. It's like it's understandable to get frustrated or upset over things you can't really control, but just taking the time to remember that it was meant to happen like this. I actually take my own advice every day, especially when I'm walking to Sinai in the morning and there's like a really, really slow person in front of me. And it's like so annoying. But then for a second I'm like, wait, like what if like maybe if I was in front of them, maybe I would have tripped or like gotten hit by a car or something. Like you don't know. Like it was meant to happen this way. And like it's so like crazy to think about. It's it's crazy,
No,
man.
I think we were talking about this in Sinai. I think that like sometimes people really don't like I think younger me would have jumped a lot to conclusions or like assumed a lot of things or like been very self-critical and like I think what I've learned from a lot of things is just how to listen more and not just to myself, it's just also be aware, ask questions, be curious, not be so like hesitant to get answers right away. I think that like a lot of this is like it's call and response, like especially with college, it's like a transaction. Like it's like you do this, you get this. And I think that with life, it sometimes doesn't work that way. And I think for me, what if I would tell my younger self, I would tell them it's okay to not have everything figured out, especially with time, and it's also okay to question who you are and learn about yourself more. And I think I would tell my younger self to just learn about yourself, please. Like don't think like because what other people are doing that makes it true for you. Like you can have your own interests, you can have your own hobbies, you can have your own in like things that you like to do. I would tell him that the things he's worrying about, like the fears of letting go, not being good enough, change, are out of his control. And I would also tell him he needs to be a lot kinder to himself, and I will do a lot in return for that. I would also just tell him to remain present, and I've been saying remain present, but I think it's true. I think I we dwell on the past too much, and it even though little me would have no idea or comprehension about how much what would happen in the future, I want him to be excited about the future and willing to grow, and I want to grow more.
Yeah.
Speak on it.
Oh, well, I think first, if I saw my younger self, I would probably tell him that I could see the future, and I would tell him everything that has happened up to this point. I think that would be probably the first thing I would ever do, and just like maybe psych him out, maybe give him a heart
Oh,
attack. But it's okay. But then I guess what I would really tell him, what I would want him to know, is to just be proud of yourself and just like
yeah.
what's it called? Shoot, I would just like live in the now. Don't worry about what other people think of you, and don't live your life around other people. Like, I guess just like similar to what you guys said, just focus on yourself. Make sure you take the time to care for yourself. But then also just like I would just say like live in the now. Like get like enjoy the time that you're living in. Enjoy every moment, big or small. Take risk. Like it's okay to make mistakes until college app season. That's when you really gotta like lock in. But like you could just like fool around, make mistakes, learn lessons, have fun.
Yeah. Learn
I feel like I would
lessons.
tell anyone that, not just little me, but yeah.
I think honestly, if I saw little self, I'd be like, "Let me hold my hands when I tell you this," and then I just go on a whole rant about like this is what's gonna happen. I'm kidding. No, I can imagine just like little me's eyes just like beaming and being like, "What is going on with you right now? Tell me everything." And I'm just like, "Yes, we're gonna talk about it." um, I want to like if you had to give one piece of advice to a current underclassman who is either starting out at the school or had their first year already and is thinking about the future or dwelling on the past, what would you say?
Um, wait, Laura, do you want to?
Yeah, I think I'd just say enjoy the moment. Um, at any period in your life, you'll look back at another and wish for what you had back then without remembering really the struggles you faced or how you were feeling at the time. Um, for the future part, I remember hearing someone say that like I can't wait for like blank is such a confusing expression because it just makes you think like what in the future is so important that it forces you to not live in the moment. So I'd say enjoy it.
Speak on it. I remember as a freshman, I always talk about freshman me because freshman year was worried about the smallest things. But I think I remember as a freshman being worried about my smallest classes and like even drafting. I won't talk about drafting all the time. Drafting was funny. I was planning all of the things that I had to do for that specific class meticulously because it was just I don't know why that class stressed me out, guys. It everything um I was just planning things meticulously also like in my head in terms of just like what would I would do over the summers of those years so that junior year and senior year would be all planned and less anxiety. But I've learned to like live with that anxiety kind of. And while I am like 100 times more busy, I'm looking at my like freshman self and I'm just like I've admired how much I've changed in terms of standards and stress levels and like I've become less of a perfectionist definitely because I've just learned how to just be proud of myself for just like getting through the day or sometimes just like being proud of just waking up because sometimes I oversleep and sometimes that's because of I'm having no sleep. But for some people, like sophomore year was less stress, and for some people, junior year, it had more work, but people sometimes felt like they had a better handle on it. And it's truly different for everybody. And I think for me, it's that sleep schedule. And you'll hear people tell you this your sleep is important, yes. Um, and yes, your grades are important, and it is okay to feel overwhelmed. Um, but I think that take it day by day, and it doesn't need to be. year by year. It doesn't need to be 2 years ahead. Like, you don't have to, like, yes, you can look forward. Yes, you can plan things, obviously, like having an agenda, things like that. Like, you plan your days ahead so it's easier to get things done efficiently. But I would say that in order to be present, you need to do those things and also be able to savor the moments that you're currently in and be like, today is was a bad day, and that's okay, and tomorrow might be a better day. um and
It was a really bad day.
yeah, no, yeah, today was exhausting. And yeah, every decision, setback, or small step forward is like, it's changing, it's
Two
like
steps back.
actively changing, it's shaping you in a way. And you don't have to move at anyone else's pace. I think you measure your growth at like how people other people are growing. And sometimes I find myself comparing to people who are like sometimes better, like they have more resources maybe, or just like they're in a different spot in their life and they've had maybe just like more access. You never know, there's so many things that happen, and that comparing yourself to those people who are in very different moments of their life, like, you really don't know. And it's unfair to yourself to compare, um especially when things don't go according to plan. So focus on what excites you. I think you Tan, you talked about doing things that you love and to chase curiosity rather than fear. Like, I'm just like more so curious as to like, what am I gonna really focus on next year, and trust that even things that don't go according to plan, sometimes they just work out, and sometimes they're meant to be. So deep breaths right now if you're listening, but no matter what, you're going to be okay.
Yeah. Um.
Yeah.
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 I think what I would tell them, I would probably tell everyone like this the same thing as I answered the first question with my younger self. Just like take risk, have fun, but also just I would say two things to prioritize: just be aware and be confident. Just like be aware of like what you're doing, be aware of what who you're with, be aware of everything you have. Just like make sure you take in everything, but also like that like you know that you have these people, you know where to go like if something happened, you know where to go if you want to like for example, so basically I was while you guys were answering, I was also looking at one of my first cross country photos from
Oh
freshman
my
year,
god.
and I was just thinking about like I think ever since that season I always knew where like good places to run, people I could go with, workouts I could do, people I could ask if I didn't have a workout. But just like just be aware of everything, take in everything, and it's like you can really make things the best that they could be. Like just knowing that you have these resources, having that mindset, stuff like that. And then I
Yeah.
guess that also just ties into like being confident, just like you like go all the way with whatever you want to do, even if it's something new. Just give it 110% effort, and if you don't like it, like that's okay. You could always
Yeah,
find something else you could do.
definitely.
But then like um if it's something you like, just keep going with it. Keep just hold it up at 110%
Yeah.
and just go all the way with it. Like I think that's how I felt for cross country, because it was like so basically junior year, I kind of like I don't know, I felt rolled because like I feel like I kind of plateaued junior year, and then just running every race because it's like 3 miles. I was like, why the hell do I do this? Um,
Me every day.
and then I kind of just those two things that I was just talking about, like I kind of use that for this summer, and I would personally say like I improved so much, and like I also had so much of a better season just because like I knew what to
Yes.
do. Um I knew like people who I could rely on, people I could confide in if I wasn't feeling good. I made the best out of it. So like just yeah, just make the best out of what you got. Make the best out of all the time you have. Take risk. Um, don't be afraid to do anything. Also, just because you never know. Like you might have just missed an opportunity to do something.
Honestly.
Uh,
Yeah. You don't, yeah. I completely agree.
And that wraps up today's episode. We want to thank and congratulate Tan on everything he's accomplished, and we wish all our seniors good luck and congrats as well. Please make sure to follow us on Instagram at HSMSCTMB and the SOS MSC. Make sure to stay tuned for how our SOS chapter is doing, and if you're interested in starting one at your school, feel free to reach out. Lastly, if you're someone you know needs help, please don't be afraid to use the National Suicide Hotline 988. Thank you guys so much for listening. Bye!
Thank you, Tan.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Tan.
Oh,
Thank you,
yeah, of
guys.
course.
That
Oh
was
my God.
amazing.
Thank you.